Hi everyone, this is Diane. Well, my furnace just kicked on because I'm just about to start a video, and I say that every time I'm going to make a video the furnace kicks on, but right now I don't care because it's freezing down here. So I'm glad the furnace is on. Well, we're going to do a couple of things today. We are going to, I'm going to show you how to do the folded pocket pages. In an organization video, when I showed my items that are unfinished or need repair, these two items were things that you guys wanted to know more about. So in the past, I had made a lot of these cookbook journals with these folded pocket pages, and I bind them with a bind it all. And so I showed you the pages that I had here. Like this one is pretty much done. You can see how I decorated it. And there is a tag in here. Somebody said that they really needed to know how to make this pocket page, and it's very, very simple. And I can show you a couple different ways to use it after we get the cuts and folds. I want a double-sided paper, and this is one that I don't really care about, so I'm going to use this because I don't know if I'm going to use any of these folded papers anymore. So we have a 12 by 12 double-sided, not too heavy, not the real sturdy ones. This is Stampin' Up, and it's a real nice weight for this. So we're going to score it at 6 inches, so that's right in half. Score at 6 inches the vertical way. If it's a pattern that has to, what do you call it, directional pattern, make sure it's up and down. And then turn it sideways, so now the pattern is sideways. And we're going to score it at 9 inches, so you have 3 inches to fold. Score it at 9 inches. And if you want to, you can score, you don't have to score this, we're just going to cut it. But if you want to have a mark for scoring, I'm scoring it at 2.5 and only to the center line. Or what I did, I just practiced one to make sure I could remember how to do it. I actually used my ruler and measured and marked a line to cut on, so you can do that also. I think that's it for the scoreboard. It's been years since I've made these, so I had to make sure I could remember. See, I can see that line better on this side. So I'm just going to cut along, make sure I'm cutting the right one. It's the 2.5 inch mark. I'm going to fold this in half. And I'm going to fold this up on the 4 inch or the 3 inch score mark so that there's a contrast. And then I want to angle this here. This is going to be a pocket, and I want it angled to have less bulk when you fold it. So I'm going to open it up and fold it again back where it was, and I can see the score line there, and I want to cut this just at a slight angle right down to the score mark. So you're cutting a V out, a triangle out, and creating a V. So that's it. The fold, the fold, the cut, the cut. So you can decide which side you want facing out. Now the variations you can do are, you can glue this part right here and have a little notch here, and you'll have a pocket when we glue this down, but this all matches. Or you can fold this around this way and you'll still have a pocket here. You're not going to lose anything by flipping that around. It just adds another element of contrast. You're going to have this and this contrasting. So that it all depends on how you want your page to look. I'm going to flip it around and glue it down here. So here's what we do to complete the page. If you want to, this is not necessary, but I'm going to punch a little thumb notch there so that when it is glued together, you'll have that little notch for pulling out your tag. But the tags are going to be big enough, you don't really need the thumb notch. I just do it for decorative effect. And I'm going to get my glue. It will be bound into the journal into a book with the open side. The wires will be on the open side. The folded side will be where you turn the page. So you can glue this closed or not, because the wires will hold it closed, but I'm going to glue it closed. And we want to glue these pockets closed, just on the straight edge. Now, when I saw this folded pocket page, it wasn't a cookbook journal, so I saw it and I thought that would be a great way to do a cookbook journal, and that's all I've ever done with them, is create cookbook journals. But you can create any kind of journal you want to with this folded pocket page. And I'm just going to glue this down. You could even just cut that off if you wanted to. You could maybe do something decorative to the edge here. I don't know, I've never tried to do anything like that. And this is a pretty busy print, so anything like that would probably get lost in translation. Trying to do something decorative to the edge. And then you can embellish your pockets. You can add any embellishment you want to, of any type. Let me show you a couple that I have done. Once you have your embellishments done, just remember when you are adding things into the pockets, especially this one, remember that you'll have a 1/2 inch cut into there for the holes. I'm thinking I probably should have cut these a little bit wider to avoid the holes, but I don't think it matters. No, it really doesn't matter, because you're still going to be able to tuck stuff in, even if the wires are going to be in this down here anyway, so that's fine. I'm sorry, I'm just thinking aloud because I haven't done this in a long time. What was I saying? Oh, remember that you have to have allowance for the rings here, so don't make your tag card so wide that it'll fit from side to side. There's rings over here and there's glue over here, so you lose some of your space. Let me show you how I decorated some. You do want to have a paper that is not directional on at least one side. So this flower is upside down, but I didn't care because this is such a cool paper to use. I glued this one down to stay on the same pattern, and I just put a thumb notch there so you could see that it opens up. And I did angle this out more. And I didn't glue this down because the wires will hold it closed. And I didn't do any decoration on this one yet. But you don't want you wouldn't want something like this on the back side folded up and all these things would be upside down. This one is not directional either way. And I did glue this one closed, but I didn't, what was I going to say? I didn't decorate it. I did cut some cards that are ready to be decorated to go in there. I think they need to be a little bit narrower though. Here's one that I decorated, and I already showed this to you. It has a cutout from my Cricut and some stickers. And another sticker here. And then I put, you can put all kinds of fun things in the pocket. So I made 6 pages and bound them together. And that part was really quick and easy, but the decorating part, not just decorating the page, but also making cards. This card I actually folded in half. Most of them were just a single card, and I decorated them all kinds of ways. This was a item cut from my Cricut, and this was probably cut out of scrapbook paper, and I just put some recipe cards in there, and then you can do whatever you want to in there. And I added just scrapbook paper and another Cricut cutout and a card with some washi tape, and that would go in there. I don't know if I have any more that are decorated at all. But you get the idea, whatever you want your theme to be. Yeah, none of these are decorated. Whatever you want your theme to be, you can decorate it. Or if you just want an eclectic journal, it'd be really fun to just do eclectic pages. Like most of these don't have a cookbook. This one does, but most of these don't have a cookbook theme to them. So you could just decorate them any eclectic way you want to. Kind of like this pattern, and put in any kinds of cards that you want to. I have these recipe cards that I cut with my Cricut, so that's what I was going to put in these the littler pockets, you know, just smaller cards, tags. So anyway, you get the idea now of how to make those folded pocket pages. Now I'm going to get started on this. And I will start by taking the charm off. So this, in case you didn't watch the video, this is a journal that I made years ago to coincide with a swap on Junk Journal Junkies Facebook group. And I had joined the swap, and I had a partner to swap Hollywood journals with. I don't remember. I think the one I made was similar to this one that I swapped, and I don't have the one I swapped for anymore. I don't know what happened to it. That was a long time ago. But I had made a copy for myself of what I made to swap. I'm trying to see where the opening is. Okay, I see it. So I have this chain here. I'm going to open up a link in the chain. And I'll save that and put it back on. For this, I'll just cut this part off. I could open up a chain there, but it's so little, it'd be easier to just cut it off. I probably don't even need to cut it off, because I'll probably replace the whole spine, not just recover it. Yeah, let's just not worry about that right now. So as I said in the other video, I had put this decorative duct tape on the spine, and I don't know if you can see, but the duct tape started out right here, and then it crept this way, and it leaves a sticky residue. And on the front, it was even worse. It was like almost off the page. So I put another strip of it on just to hold it in place here, and I figured it's about time that I replace it. So I'm going to take the duct tape off. I don't want to damage the paper that I already have on here. See, I took off the, well, I guess it did take off. This is how close it was to the edge of the spine of the book cover. And the rest of this just tore off along with this. It wasn't all that off. It wasn't that far gone, but it was creeping off. So I didn't use duct tape again after that. I guess it was a thing for a while. I don't even remember. I know I had seen somebody using duct tape on a journal. I was still new at it when I made this. I didn't even have a shop open at that time. I just did swaps. So I think the best thing to do would be to just cut this off. And I think before I go any further, I'm going to cut the signatures out. I have 4 signatures in this book. I had said in the other video that this was before I had started using digital kits or any kind of digitals whatsoever. So I relied on old vintage books about old movies, and I cut lots of great black and white pictures out of those books. And I was going to use this, if I can find the center. Oh, it's right here. It's stuck together. I was going to use this journal for writing my favorite movies of different genres, favorite movie stars, maybe songs from movies and whatnot. It was just going to be, it's a movie theme, but it was going to be about movies also. So there's one signature. And after I get this put back together, I'll do a quick flip through so you can see the whole journal. I'll leave the threads in to kind of hold those pages together for now. I think once I get this rebound, I am going to love it, and I'm going to have fun working in it. Here's the middle. Again, stuck together. There we go. Okay. It's not a very big journal. Trying not to tear the paper, but I can cover it with lace or fabric if I do. On the outside, it's Mod Podged, so it peeled off without tearing the paper. On the inside, I had to be a little more careful. And I'll have to take this pocket off. I can put it back on. It has Marlene Dietrich on it. I can glue that end paper back down on the corner. I could just, you know, put fabric over that, but I don't want to create too many layers there, and I'm not sure how well the glue would stick to that shiny tape. Okay, we got it off. Got a little tear there. I'm going to glue that. There's Tyvek down here. So I've been using the Tyvek on my spines for a long time. Yeah, there's chipboard and Tyvek. So I will create a new spine. See how big this spine was. This was only 1.5. Wonder if I should make it 2 inches, because I might want to start putting stuff in this journal. Yeah, I'm gonna make it 2 inches this time. See if that edge is even. Yep, pretty good. This cover is, it's just over 7.5 by 5, so it's not very big. So now I just need a piece of Tyvek. This is the tape I use. It's just a red, it's got a red lining on it. The tape itself is clear, and you can get it from different stores. I don't know. I got this one, probably both of these, at that craft booth at the vendor mall near me. But I get it at Hobby Lobby now because it's the cheapest place to get it. They used to all be the same price, and then for some reason Hobby Lobby now sells theirs for $1 less than they used to. And I get it at the 1/4 inch, and I'm not sure. This one says 6 yards, and this one says 5 yards. I'm not sure what the Hobby Lobby one is. But I have gotten it from Joann's, back when there was a Joann's. I've gotten it at Michael's, and I've gotten it at Hobby Lobby. And when I couldn't find it, or I couldn't get up there to my stores, I have ordered it from Amazon. And they are all different packaging, branding, but they all work just as well. I've never had a problem with any of them. I've never used this one. So I get it at Hobby Lobby for $2.99 now, and the rest of them are over $3 or over, I don't know, they're at least $1 more. And so I could get them at this craft booth for $2, so I did. There was only a couple, and I grabbed them. I had a black and white checkered spine, as you saw, so I chose a black and white patterned fabric to replace it. I've looked at this journal a few times over the years to determine if I wanted to keep it, and I always want to keep it. I like the movie star theme of it. The old-time movie star theme. It was supposed to be Hollywood from, I can't remember the eras, but I think it went up into the 70s you could do. But I kept mine basically maybe into the 50s, but 30s and 40s mostly. So I used to really love doing the swaps on Junk Journal Junkies. And I kind of hesitate to tell you why I stopped. But since I got that far, I better tell you, right? So it seemed that many times I didn't really care for the journal that I received in return for whatever reason. Wasn't my style. I just didn't care for it. And the last straw, but I did like some of them. I have some that I really liked and admired. Oh, sorry, I bumped you. The last straw for doing swaps was they did a paper doll journal swap. Of course, I was excited about that. I signed up for that one. And we make our journals. We would make our journals, and then we had to submit either photos or a video to show that we had met the criteria that they set. And then they assign partners. And we communicate with the partner and get the address, and then we ship our journals to each other. So I was so excited. I lined this all up nicely, but now I have to pick it up and take off the red lining. I was so excited about my paper doll journal. And I was partnered with a guy, and nothing against him. His work was beautiful. He did a great job, but he used the Tim Holtz paper dolls, and that is not what I pictured when it was a paper doll journal. Everybody else used, you know, paper dolls. And mine had a lot of paper dolls in it, like complete sets, dolls with all of their wardrobes and stuff. And I was so disappointed that I stopped doing swaps. So that's why I don't do swaps anymore. Not just that one, but that was, like I said, that was just the last straw, because I'm selling my journals for a good price. So I might as well just make the journal and put it in my shop. And I don't want to sound mercenary. There's something to be said for the community and the sharing. But there were just too many times that I was unhappy with the journal that I received. And that's too much work to put into making them, you know. But some of my earliest scrapbooking or junk journal friends were from those swaps. But I kept thinking about what did he think of the journal that he got. He didn't like all the little girly paper dolls the cute little mouse paper dolls and little girls and Victorian paper dolls. I bet he didn't like those. He was probably just as disappointed as I was. I don't even remember his name. There, now we've constructed the spine. I hope that doesn't make me sound shallow, or I don't know. I don't know what it makes me sound like. I'm just saying the truth. That's how I felt. Here's the fabric I decided to replace it with. I am so close to having my craft room ready for the big reveal of all of the organizing I've been doing. So close. I could have finished it today, but it's Saturday. I spent a couple hours on it this morning. And I hadn't seen my parents since Monday. My brother was out a couple of times during the week, so I knew that, you know, they hadn't been on their own the whole time. My brother was there a couple of times, and, you know, he takes Dad to his appointments, his therapy appointments, and then he'll do what they need. They'll send him on errands or whatever. So I figured I would go today just to visit and to take my mom some gluten-free Chex Mix. We use rice Chex and corn Chex and gluten-free pretzels and peanuts. That's all that goes in it. And she got some for Christmas from my daughter, and she needed more. So she had me buy rice Chex, and she already had corn Chex. She wanted me to buy peanuts, and I said, no, I've got a big jar of peanuts, so you don't need to do that. So I told her I'd make her some, but I didn't tell her when I would make it. I didn't want to wait too long, because, you know, my dad they got some for Christmas from my sister and from my daughter, so I figured they'd be good. So I made it last night, and then I took it out to them today. And my mother said, it's about time, I've been waiting for that. I was like, oh, okay. Well, you're welcome. And she just laughed. But then she said, I said, you can share that with Dad. It's got gluten-free pretzels, but it's for him too. And she said, I'm not going to share it. He gets all the stuff that has gluten in it. So I'm going to make another batch, and I'm going to put lots of gluten in it, so she can eat it. And my dad can have some. But anyway, while I was out there, I made some pudding for my dad, for both of them actually. We all had some chocolate pudding, because he is having so much trouble just chewing. Everything takes so much energy. Cutting up meat, if he cuts his meat, he doesn't have the energy to eat it. And anyway, he is enjoying pudding. I keep buying boxes of the pudding mix for them. And I know it's hard for my mom to stand at the stove. It doesn't take long to make it, but she has said that some days it's really hard for her to stand at the stove and cook it. So last couple times I've been there, I've just cooked a box of pudding. If Dad's ready to eat it, he wants it warm. He wants it as soon as it's done. So if he's ready to have some, I'll make it. So I made chocolate pudding today, and Mom insisted that I have some, so I poured some into a little bowl. It was the family size box. It takes 3 cups of milk instead of 2. And you know, I just did a few chores for him. Oh, I pureed some chicken breast. I had cooked some chicken breast pieces, like the strips, but they were plain strips, and I had cooked them with I just put Italian dressing on them and put them in the oven. And I had a couple pieces left. So I asked him if he'd be willing to try pureed chicken. And he said he would try it. So I made a little chicken broth out of bouillon and put it in their blender and pureed it with the chicken broth. He wasn't ready to eat it because he had just had the pudding, but Mom said she'll give it to him for dinner tonight. So I hope he likes it. I can keep him supplied with that, and oh, I don't know, mashed potatoes, or I thought I would make him some chicken and biscuits and shred the chicken up real fine. He loves chicken and biscuits with gravy. That's my favorite dinner, and he loves it. So if I shred the chicken up, he ought to be able to eat that. But my mom can't eat the gravy unless I make it with cornstarch. She can't eat the flour, and she can't eat the biscuit. There's that. And I will put a decorative trim down the sides. It didn't have one originally, but I'll make it have one now. Maybe just this little thin piece. It has a bit of paper that I guess I had covered the spine with this paper to begin with, and then added the duct tape on top of it. So I don't really want that paper to show. So this should help cover that up. You can see I put little beaded, they were like stickers, peel them off and stick them down, those little shapes. I can't believe they're still there. Bling. Okay. Now, in order to put the signatures back in, there are 4 signatures. I'm going to leave them the way they are, even though I prefer doing 3. And the reason I prefer doing 3, or an odd number, is so that one signature will be right in the middle, and that helps me space things out better. But I'm not going to try to readjust how those pages are arranged. So I'm going to cut this blank paper 2 inches wide, because that is how wide my spine is. And the pages are 7 1/4, so I will cut this at 7 1/4. This is my centering ruler. It has the 0 in the middle. So I have it with a 1 on each edge and the 0 in the center. And that's where I would normally put one signature and then space the other ones evenly. But I have 4 signatures to space. Okay. They're not exactly even. The center is a little bit wider than the others, but I'm not going to worry about it. So I have 4 lines marked on my paper to where I can sew the signatures. This is just a template for sewing the signatures in. I fold it in half to get the middle, because it's a 5-hole pamphlet stitch. So there will be the center hole of the pamphlet stitch. So I'll put the 0 right on that mark for the center hole, and I'm going to make them at 1.5 and 3 inches. And I'm going to put a T or right top up here so that I line them all up the same way with every signature. So I'm going to take my hole puncher and punch where each of these marks is. I punch my paper, my Sharpie, sharp thing through the paper and then wiggle it a little bit to make the hole bigger. Make sure it's centered on the spine. This one looks like it'll land on the white. Yep, beautifully. Okay, I see that. That one I don't see. I can see some of those. These might be a problem. Nope, I can see a couple. That'll help me line it up. Okay. Okay. Okay, all the holes are punched in this. I like this fabric on there. Now I'm just going to do one of these on camera. And since the threads are still in there holding the pages together, I could clip them and then remove the threads. And pull the threads out, and we're all set. I'll cut my thread 3 times the length plus a little extra. Here's my needle. I leave my thread in the needle so I can find it easier. More easily. All right, now I'm going to take my needle and put it down through the center on the inside of the book, not on the outside of the spine. You can do that if you want your knot to be on the outside. You can tie it and make it look cool, but I'm doing it on the inside. And pull it up. Leave a nice tail inside, and then go up or down, doesn't matter, into the next hole. Boy, that just popped right through the hole in the pages. That was easy. keep going the direction you were headed. I went up, so I'm going up again. And I tighten up the stitch with every stitch that I take. Now I have to go back down. So down into the next hole, there's already a thread coming up from there. So just make sure you don't pierce that thread, and there's several plies to the thread, and your needle could go in between those plies. You don't want it to do that, because then it won't tighten up nicely for you. And then instead of going down into the next hole, which is the center, we're going to skip it. Skip right over that middle hole and go down into the next hole that hasn't had any thread yet. And then down into the bottom. And then up through the papers. I keep this plier handy because sometimes I need a little help getting it through. And sometimes I'm just tired. My husband saw me struggling with that one time, and so he went and got me an old pair of his pliers, and I've kept it with my binding tools ever since. And then back to the middle. Make sure, again, you don't pierce the thread that's already there. And I come up. This thread is on this side, so I come up on this side so that the two pieces of thread will encase the center, the stitches. And then just tie a knot. Then do what you want to with the threads. You can cut them short, you can leave them long and attach something to them. I would often leave them about this long and then attach little flower shapes or heart shapes or something out of paper to either side to, again, encase the thread. Or you can leave them even longer and attach beads to them. I'm not sure what I'll do, so they're not long enough for beads, but they are long enough if I want to add little paper charms to the bottom, I can. So I have 3 more signatures to sew in, and then I'll do a flip through. So hang in there, I'll be right back. Here we are with the finished journal. You saw me add the spine, and then I sewed in all 4 signatures, and I added this ring to attach the dangle to, the same dangle that was on it. It has a high heel on it, little high heel charm, which is cute. And I like this pretty red charm that says believe. And nothing about it has changed except it is a slightly bigger spine, and it has a different fabric, and it has some lace. I left the closure the same, and the back is the same. So I'll just flip through so you can see. I didn't change anything inside. There's Marlena Dietrich, here and here. So all of these images were taken from a couple of Hollywood books. I found them at the library. They're vintage books, but they depict even more vintage images. And I got them, well, let me just say, this journal is old. I wrote an entry in 2016, and I realized this was just like 4 months before my husband passed away. This is Rita Hayworth, and Fred Astaire in You Were Never Lovelier. And I wrote on that date, I just watched You Were Never Lovelier. I enjoyed watching Rita and Fred dance, so graceful and elegant. There we have Spencer Tracy and Katharine Hepburn. And I used a postcard stamp. I have to go kind of quickly because this is going to be an hour-long video with all the other stuff I had taped. So as I was saying, these are just images taken from old books. I like that they're matte. This is Gentlemen Prefer Blondes with Marilyn Monroe. I don't know who this is on the back. I feel like I should know who that is. And I put some quotes in here that were taken out of those books. Some of the pages are slightly glossy, not terribly glossy, so I know they're from 2 different books. There's Shirley Temple. I wrote some of my favorite musicals. I just added Wicked on there. My favorite actors: Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers, Gene Kelly and Fred Astaire, Ziegfeld Follies. I think that's Leslie Caron and Fred Astaire, or Gene Kelly. Something sticky on this. I'll have to work on that. I'll leave it out because it was sticking to the inside of the pocket. I put some of the quotes inside the pockets. More favorite actors. There's Mary Poppins, one of my very favorite movies. This was taken out of one of those books, and I just turned it into a belly band. I added some little gems throughout. Gene Kelly and Judy Garland here. I like the musicals. This is favorite comedies. I like the musicals and the dance movies from back then. Ziegfeld Girl with Judy Garland. And Lana Turner was in it, and Hedy Lamarr. But that's Judy Garland. Betty Grable. Favorite actresses. This is Rita Hayworth on the front, by the way. Claudette Colbert. And this is High Noon with Gary Cooper and Grace Kelly. This is from My Fair Lady. There's Gene Kelly and Jerry from Tom and Jerry. Another pair of Mary Poppins pictures. Put a little bit of film strip there. Now this was fun, Men, Women, and Love, screwball style, so it has some really fun quotes, and I love being able to take this out and read those quotes. I think this is from Carousel. Lana Turner in The Postman Always Rings Twice. We're in the second signature, at least. Billy Wilder quote. He's a director. Get the audience by the throat. Don't let them escape. Don't wake them up. Don't let them stop and realize this is only a movie. He wanted the audience to stay in the moment and think they were actually there. Buster Keaton. And I got up to the 70s here with John Travolta in Saturday Night Fever. Singing in the Rain. This was a group picture, but I ended up putting Donald O'Connor on a tag in the pocket. There's Jean Kelly and somebody named Claire Sombert. I've never heard of her. Well, I probably did because I put this picture in here, but I don't remember her. Marlon Brando, John Wayne. Citizen Kane, Sound of Music. This is It's a Wonderful Life, I think. It's Jimmy Stewart there. I'm not sure who that is. But I apparently had to staple this film strip on because it wouldn't glue. So she's got staples all down here. Here's some more quotes. The film noir hero. The film noir heroine. She can't be all bad. No one is. She comes closest. It's from Out of the Past. James Dean and Charlie Chaplin. Greta Garbo. Paul Newman. Vivian Leigh in A Streetcar Named Desire. I can't remember who this one is. This is the Doris Day and Rock Hudson. Got some more quotes here. Prime characteristics of the romantic screwball comedy genre. That'll be fun to go back and read again. I know I read it when I put it in here. There's a series of photos of Fred and Ginger. The Sound of Music and Rita Hayworth and Lana Turner. Again, Fred and Ginger. That's probably Greta Garbo. These tickets, by the way, are from the Graphic 45 collection, and I forgot what it's called, but it's about the movies. There's a postcard with Bogart and Bergman in Casablanca. Wizard of Oz. There's a flap there. It doesn't flip all the way up, but it's, you could tuck something in there, or I could. That's Casablanca. Frank Sinatra there. My Fair Lady, the racetrack scene. Sonia Henney on skates. Charlton Heston and Sophia Loren. Some more quotes. The original list of don'ts and be carefuls. Oh, this was like for the censors. I have a lot of Fred and Ginger in here. There's Shirley. She's a superstar. And John Wayne again. This is a chipboard ephemera piece, and it says timeless. There we go. I hope you enjoyed this flip through. I know my video is going to be long with everything that I've packed into this one video, but I enjoyed going through this journal with you. I'm glad I fixed it. I love the way it looks. It looks so much better. And now I can enjoy using it. I'll see you very soon in the next video. Have a creative day. Bye.